There is a growing number of humans noticing there is a lot of lies, dishonesty, and falsity. Our special guest, Thomas Williams, calls his movement truth, honor, and integrity. That's the direct opposite of that what I just described. So he provides a wide range of knowledge and opens our mind for a tremendous number of questions. That's an ideal starting point for an interview, isn't it? Welcome to the first interview of THI Deutschland with the first source of knowledge of THI, Thomas Williams. Hi, Thomas, how are you?
Hi, and thank you for having me on. And I'm looking forward to engaging with the German people. Like I've engaged with many people around the world now, Poland, and but it's spreading far and wide now. It's good stuff.
So first of all, I have to apologize as a German. So we Germans send Mr. Klopp to Liverpool, to FC Liverpool. And many might think now, what is he mentioning this? But you know why I'm mentioning it, Thomas.
Yes, Mr. Klopp manages my rival soccer club. So we're not happy with Mr. Klopp. So he's done well. You've got to give him credit, albeit reluctantly, but yes.
So you accept my apology for that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's okay.
So many will be surprised why football is a good example what was and is going on this earth. I think you can help people to understand that. Is it entertainment or is it something else?
Well, football started off as the working class game, and the players were no different to the average person in town, and suddenly it's all changed into superstars and idols and excess money and become corrupted. Well, what happens there happens in normal life, and it's the same thing. The same as the movies, the same as the theatre, radio. It's the same thing. Ordinary people with a little bit of talent, not as much as they used to, being orchestrated into this program of making the average person feel small. We have to look up to them when we have to look up to nobody. Nobody's above anybody else on this planet. Once you understand that and act that way, then we're going to go forward. And so football is a lot more popular in Europe than it is in America, although it is developing. But it's become corrupted now, where the same ones are being pushed forward with all the extra money at the expense of all the rest who become cannon fodder. And it's the same in life, where all the funds and all the businesses are being harvested into a select few, and the people have to pay for it. It's the same thing, and it's sad from my aspect. I grew up with football, and to see how now it's corrupted beyond belief. Corrupt referees, same as the system. The people who run the game, like the governments, are corrupted and not operating for and by the people. The people at the top of the football are corrupted and not operating for the paying customers. They're operating for big business. It's the same thing. So it does overlap.
We have to discuss the purpose of this interview. Most people never have heard of you. So that's why we decided to make your ideas and your information more popular in Germany and to translate your shows. And we want to enable people to know and to rethink what they have been programmed to. We want to enable them to be free and doubt all structures and behaviors. And we will talk about how that everybody can do without being a saint or a hero. That's your programs are a big part in this unlearning and learning, unlearning the lies and learning the truth. But it's in ancient Greek, they killed the messenger of bad news. So you don't have an easy life because you tell people a lot of bad news and informations of how we are harvested, abused, and treated like slaves. So,
Yes.
what does it mean for your private life?
It's fairly brutal at times. Um, I have to, it's not a normal everyday life. I can't go and do the normal everyday things that people take for granted. I have to watch at all times. I have to be careful what I buy, particularly food, because it's corrupted. Um, it's different, but I knew that once I stepped up in 2011, um, that you would become a target, because the worst thing you can do on this planet is tell the truth. It automatically makes you the enemy. And if you start, like we've done with our shows, connecting the dots, as we call it, where we're linking one group that seems to be separate from another, or one organization that seems to be separate from another, and combining it into a bigger picture, which is what we've done with THI, then things start to make sense. What we've asked in the shows, I'm not just putting out statements. I'm backing it with a lot of research over many, many years, and it's supported. And then during the shows, I'm asking the people the question: does their narrative make sense? And once people start to think, and this is a problem, there's not enough people think. They're told what to say and told what to believe and told what to do. But that's that's um, that's slavery in and of itself, because you're just following a script. Well, you're not. None of us are here to follow scripts. We're here to learn, and we're here to experience, and we're here to have pain, and we're here to have joy. It's all. None of it is bad, providing you learn the lesson. And it's a teaching program which is developing each and every individual on a soul development level to then go on to the higher planes.
So the next question is much demanding for the teacher. So, can you, in some sentences, describe the history of the humans of the last 16,500 years until 2012?
Well, there was wars going on here that were mainly involved in off-world, and the peoples at the time didn't have sufficient technology to deal with it. And there was also wars going on between the tribal people that were here. There was 5 or 7 different tribes dotted around the world, and 2 of the tribes were fighting at the time for control again. And an off-world group came in and offered to become the savior, which is one of the worst things anyone can ever do. You are your own savior. There is no external savior. It's you. And so they negotiated with the tribal people of Earth 16,500 years ago, and the contract was signed on a kangaroo skin at the time, whereby this particular group was going to take control. It would stop all the wars, it would save the people, and also help this particular tribe in their war with another tribe. And it worked well for a while, whilst they collected everything. And then eventually, it became obvious that these people were not saviors at all, and they were here to harvest the planet. And at that point, it was too late. They had technology, old technology. There is no new technology. All technology is old. And they were able to take over the whole planet and run it in their image, not our image, which is why you have the saying, let us make man in our image. That doesn't mean to say that they created man. What it's saying is we're going to make man like us.
So,
And
the year 2012 plays a certain role in this.
yes, well, they put all kinds of control systems in place. They put all kinds of technology, soul trap technology, memory wipe technology, you name it. where human beings were being recycled back in. Was essentially they were using us as batteries for their energy. Um, and, and then the end was supposed to be 2012. So when 2007 arrived, once they collected all the Earth assets, and humans are an asset, that's why the social services calls it human resources.
Mhm.
That has a deeper meaning than people realize. Uh, and that they would then do what they've done to several other planets. They collect all the assets, they've got enough, and then they cut it off, and then they destroyed the whole planet. So in 2012, we were destined to end permanently. And a lot of work was done to prevent that. And what we're seeing now is um, the change from the old system to the new.
So one big part of this change is that first time ever, human beings are members of the council. Can you
Yes.
tell what the council is and why you and Kim are chosen?
It's not a case. Kim was chosen for the title as the ambassador,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily a case of being chosen per se, because everyone is entitled to their own say. I was engaged in the council before I met Kim on certain things that were taking place, not just here. This is happening universe wide and multiverse wide. This corruption by the dark forces that Harold talks about, we've talked about in our show. And so the council is made up of 220 billion species, and they are learning as well. Don't think that they're all knowing, and all other off-world races are more intelligent or more knowing than we. Everyone has been lied to by the dark. Everyone got duped. Even the group we know as the Draco, they got lied to. They got told they had no souls, so they wanted to take ours. It's just lie after lie all the way down. Um, uh, Extraordinary strides have been made in the last 8 years, which is not recognizable by most people, including most people in the alt media. But we've made giant progress.
So hearing about a council with extraterrestrials and representing so many creatures or beings,
Mm.
how big is the council and how do you communicate and how do you meet?
Well, it's not a case of traveling in tin cans per se. There's different ways of communicating that is available to all people if you believe and if you um, reach a certain frequency. You can interact with anything and anyone. And this is where the church comes in, because they're getting you to pray to external, which is praying
Mm.
with an E, not an A.
Yeah.
It's very clever the way they do the word magic. You become the prey. If you go internal and you develop yourself on the soul level, you can interact with anything and anyone. But not enough people do the internal work, which is what we're talking about, the shadow and the inner work. If you're full of darkness, how can you exhibit light? You can't. You have to clear the dark out to then fill your cup up with light. And only when you reach a certain light frequency can then your technology, which is what it is, then be switched on. Harold was talking about, it has to be the right time. What it is, it has to be the right frequency. Because frequencies is everything.
So many people, when I tell them about the council and they helped us after 2012 and 2016 and the Galactic Wars,
Yeah.
they ask me, what the fuck, where they have been the last 16,000 years? Why didn't they
Yes.
help us before that?
Yes, and I get that, and it's a valid criticism. They were around, but you got to remember their lives. Like I said, they're learning as well, and they're learning that this version of soul version is different to all the others. We have more abilities, and so the very fact that we've got two people discussing things with them that represents for them by the people is also a major event, because there's many versions of humanoid. It's the most popular species, the humanoid, but this version was not represented. Why? Because the 26 other species that were involved here, and some of them were genetic, um, had a vested interest, and even now they have a vested interest of covering up their own mess. I would prefer, I said it in the show back in 2014, with disclosure should become disclaimer. We've all done wrong in life. Do we all have to be hung or whatever? No, let's just wipe the slate clean, you know. And let's not go, well, they did this and we didn't. Let's not argue over that either. Let's fix it. You all know which part that you mess with. You all know where you put your technology. Remove it all, and let's go forward and see if we can find a common interest, and then go forward together, which is kind of pleasing that the other beings here all had their Independence Day together.
So
So we're able to work together.
as you always say, it's not about complaining, it's about doing something.
Yeah.
So myself and a lot of members of THI Germany would not have heard of Thomas Williams, of you, without Harold Thiers. And that's why I invited him to join us for this interview. Can you recall Harold? You met him already on virtual, of course. So he will join us soon.
Yes, I recall Harold. I've seen a couple of his interviews, and he mentioned our group a lot, and his name also is similar to our group, THI. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Harold and doing this interview for the German people.
He's telling everybody about the galactic wars and referring to your shows all the time. So I've heard the name Thomas Williams, and so I was invited to make some research, and so I found your Truth, Honor, and Integrity page and all your shows. So we are very grateful that Harold is doing this for us. And now we are waiting for his entrance.
Cool.
And I'm curious what he's telling you and you are telling him, because you are working on a separate aisle, part of the aisle, but basically on the same level. Of course, not with your background with the council, but he's a very important guy for the German.
Yes, he is.
THI.
Yeah, everyone plays a role somewhere. Some are seen as more important as the way people compare things, but everyone's important and everyone has a role, and some of it doesn't look connected, but overall, from the overview, everything is connected. We're all connected.
Yeah, we come later to this in the show that everybody can do something. We are not the waiting party, waiting for saviors or waiting for good weather or whatever. We don't have to wait. We are already perfect for the land, and we can do our own work. And while we are waiting for Harald, we can talk about that. What, for example, in this shadow work, you call it, what can we do?
Well, everyone has their own trauma. And if you have a major trauma in your life, it creates an altered version of you, which is what we call the shadow. Well, some people in the alt media say you have to get rid of the shadow. No, you don't. You have to integrate the shadow. So as you address your alters or your shadow, which is involving trauma or guilt or shame if you've done some harm or people have done harm to you. As you go through those layers, you're integrating more of you. And then by doing that, you say you were abused as a child, you forgive yourself, you forgive whoever abused you and release it, just cast it out. That is then taking away the triggers where if you see abuse somewhere else, it's then triggering you back to that memory. But if you release it properly and you heal, which is the key thing, you've then cleared your vessel of that dark energy, because that's what it is, it's dark energy. Well, how can you fill yourself up with light energy if you're mired in trauma, guilt, shame, and all the other stuff? And that's the essence of shadow and inner work. And everyone can do it. It doesn't cost any money. You don't have to go to conferences or buy books or, attend and pay for YouTube channels, etc., etc. It's personal. So everyone just needs to meditate and go into their own space and then bring up which parts that are triggering. Someone says a comment on the Facebook page and you've reacted to it. You're not really reacting to that comment. What you're reacting to is something inside of you that's triggered. So, and you got to then find out why you were triggered and then address it. Because the next time that person puts the same comment and you've addressed it and healed it, that you will not react to it. So that's how you know that you've addressed it. And if everyone does that, which costs no money, this world will change overnight.
So
because we're getting rid of the dark energy.
It's so nicely easy. And that's why most people don't do it, because it's easy things look to like to be cheap. But, now Harald is calling, so we let him in.
Cool.
Harald.
Hello.
Hi, Harald.
Hi, Tommy. Hi, Billy. I make my camera on.
Yeah.
Hello.
So I don't talk a lot because I just introduced you already. That many of us got the idea to get in contact with Thomas' ideas by you. So the German THI people and the German community is very grateful about your work. So that's your field, Harald, to talk to Thomas, and that's the chance for Thomas to talk to you again. So go ahead.
Yeah, welcome. I was actually researching my whole life for the secrets of life, why we are living here on Earth, what kind of role plays the churches and what's going on, why we have law of the sea and not of the land, and why we are persons and not human beings. Too many questions, you see, and my own life started with a normal business career. Also, I'm a mechanical engineer, and then I studied this more and more subtle energies. Due to my health issues, I got a burnout, and then I went deeper and deeper and deeper, and I studied alternative medicine. And after a few years, I realized alternative medicine or health is so easy, so simple, so primitive. Why isn't there any doctor on earth who can explain the primitivity to people? Yeah. So, and you see, I tell people, you go to the doctor, just ask the doctor, where comes the electricity in your body from? Where does it come from? Where do you put your fingers into the electrical plug to get the energy for a living? Or why does your body consist of water? Or why do you need a chakra? And why doesn't the doctors investigate the chakra? Why do they ignore this? Because the chakra is a portal and can materialize from subtle energy into physical energy, matter, or biological transmutation. Why isn't this discussed? Or why isn't discussed free energy? How does a tree in the forest get his water? up to 120 meter. He can't suck it just. It's impossible because with Earth gravity, it's being pulled down after 9 meter 81 due to the gravity of the Earth. You can't suck water higher than 9 meter 81 centimeter. Impossible. How does it come up there? Due to levitation, and this is a toroidal field. So, and a tree in the forest, in the rainbow forest, it's maybe 120 meter high, and the weight of such a tree is maybe 50 kilo, no, or 50 ton or 100 ton. So, and the tree consists of minerals. Yeah, when you burn it, you have a huge amount of ashes, many kilogram or tons. Yeah, but where does the ashes come from? The mineral, where does it come from? When the 100 ton of weight comes from underground, from the soil, you should have afterwards a hole in the soil because you have taken out all the minerals from downstairs. There are so many tons. There should be a hole below each tree. Is there a hole? Nothing at all. Why is there no hole? Because the tree materializes its energy and it's matter. Matter is just a kind of energy. Yeah, and it's an energy transformation, and all living beings are doing this. Yeah, and I understand this simple concept, and my final understanding was the human body is just a machinery to produce water and electricity. As long as this functions, you can live forever. Any living cells never die. They have an unlimited lifespan. However, there are two conditions. You have to get rid of all of the waste out of the environment of the cell. All bad particles have to be taken away, has to be a clean environment. The milieu has to be pure, clean, and the cell has to get all stuff that it needs, whatever minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, or whatever. So, and when you create these conditions, a human cell or any living cell can live forever. Yeah. However, we deteriorate all the time the conditions for the cells. The extracellular matrix gets a dirty pool of bad water. So, and therefore our lifespan is going down. The Qatars had a lifespan of 1,500 to 1,700 years. Yeah. Nowadays, we are proud when we reach 100 years. Yeah. And the difference is just we have such a dirty body due to all this pure negative food or poisoned environment, chemtrails or radiation. Radiation is destroying hexagonal water structures, and therefore your electrons are gone. Radiation gets in resonance to metal, therefore they put heavy metal into our body. And therefore we get free radicals, amazing amounts. And again, with electricity, electricity is a big killer. And when you prevent people from any whatever negative energy, electrical energy fields or toroidal fields, negative fields, you can keep their energy level very high. And when the people eat healthy food, raw food, for instance, with healthy water inside, structured water, plasma water, then the people get electrons. And when you live in a place where you have a lot of minus ions in the air, like a waterfall, or at the Bosnian pyramids, Bosnia and Herzegovina, you have 120,000 minus ions per cubic centimeter. In a normal flat, we have 50 or 100. There we have up to 100,000, 120,000. Amazing. You can heal cancer just going there, staying inside there for a few days or a few weeks, and the cancer is gone. So, and this were so simple understandings I got that I knew health is so easy, but why are we not taught this easiness? Yeah, because I look deeper and deeper and deeper and I understood that all the health is kept as a secret, the good things are kept as a secret, the doctors are trained in the wrong way, yeah, all the lessons and at the universities, all the schedules are made from Rothschild, Rockefeller, they are paid for this and so on, and therefore the doctors are mind controlled or crazy. with their understanding. But nature is simple, very simple, and we have a mathematic logic, and we have the overtone octaves from a toroidal field, and therefore we have healthy stuff. And also this healthiness, this perfection of nature, of God, they try to destroy. Yeah, and then I asked it why. Why did they try to destroy? And then I found out the secret societies. That whatever any main doctor in any clinic, he becomes only the main doctor there when he is a Freemason, for instance, and all these things you understand. And then I said to myself, oh, but there we have the press, and the press could publish all the hidden things. And then I understood, no, all the press belongs to 5 people in the world. And more of those pieces came together for me more and more and more. And then I understood the whole picture that we are living in a big, big lie. And then I asked it myself, why is such a huge lie going on? Why are they all involved and so on? And then step by step, I understood that we have non-human beings, and these non-human beings are the rulers of this world. Yeah, and earlier human beings could see living with them together, but they were killed and so on. And then they used their paradises, the dark beings. They did their genetic modifications that they could look like human beings, and in reality they were a reptile or shape-shifting being and so on. And therefore human beings can't realize what there is in front of them. And in order to prevent people seeing this, they killed all the positive people with a higher vibration. Everything that the perfectly from the Cathars, they were all killed. They were followed as witches and burned on the stake and so on with whatever, no reason at all, just fake sentences and so on. So when I understood this, I got more and more of these explanations. Yeah? And then I said to myself, when the earth is in such a negative hands, what kind of chance do we have as a small human being? Yeah, the dark side has everything in their hands. They have all the police, they have all the governments, they have all the media, they have all the secret societies, all the secret agencies. They are arranged in whatever secret societies in hundreds of thousands of different groups, and well structured and organized, and with a very stiff or with a very strong regulation. When one steps out of this society, will be killed or even giving the right.
Können Sie eventuell etwas leiser reden?
Okay.
Ja?
Yeah, okay.
Sie sitzen nicht alleine hier.
Okay.
Das sind immer andere Menschen.
Okay. Ja, sarcasm complaining. Okay. Also, my feeling was, or I felt actually mentally in a deep hole. Yeah, because I saw no chance at all. Human beings, positive beings, are split up in different countries, in different groups, men against women, and employer gegen employees, and black against white, and yellow party against green party, and red party, and all these kind of things. So, and therefore it was for me really uh, really shocking, actually, yeah, how far down we are. And my question was, how do we have a chance to come out of this shit, actually? What kind of chance do we have? I didn't see a chance, actually, that time. And that was really a mental shock for me when I saw the whole picture. I went deeper and deeper and deeper into the ground of the rabbit hole. That was, for me, a hard lesson. So, but later on, I actually got this support with my son. Yeah, he was connected with a higher dimension. He could leave his body going upstairs there, and he was speaking about things. I was just surprised. Yeah, and when I disappeared with my son 5 years from home, invisible for whatever authorities, I learned a lot of the spiritual world. He was telling me how it's going on there, what kind of groups are there, how the laws are there, what can you do, what can't you do, and so on. And I saw actually with his possibilities and with the devices we built, I saw a chance to do something against those negative energies. They handle human beings with energy, they push the energy down. Human beings had earlier, when we were perfecties, when the creators were on Earth, they had access to the 512th octave. And nowadays, human beings are living at the 30th or 35th or 40th or 45th octave. However, the dark beings higher. They reach maybe the 80 or 70th octaves. That means they are much, much higher, the dark beings. But we were much higher. And due to our soul, our part of God's soul, we have the inner capabilities to regain our earlier capabilities, and we can raise our level above this dark beings level. But therefore they change the energy fields. They build everywhere pyramids on Earth, 42,000 pyramids the dark side built, keeping human being down. Earlier we had a dodecahedral field. The whole Earth was a dodecahedral, energy field of dodecahedral. That's a ball, and all places around the world are pentagram fields, dodecahedral. Yeah, and that was a very high energetic, positive energy field for very high spiritual development. And nowadays we have a field like a square, like a pyramidal, much more primitive, keeping people down. So, and with the devices of my son, I actually saw a possibility to do something against this negative situation. And therefore, I was helping my son. We were doing this job. We were working day and night. I gave up my house. I built a new house, brand new, very nice. Paid many, many €100,000 for it. I had to decide: do I help my son and do I support this project? What I'm doing with my son, or do I keep to my personal possessions, to my house and whatever? And we have chosen to go away and to just to do this job for mankind. And we got the task from the higher dimension what to do and so on. And we did this. And in the end, step by step, we built up this positive energy fields. And therefore, the dark side tried to destroy it with a harp system. But they weren't successful because our system was stronger. And therefore, they tried to split me and my son and so on. But in the end, due to this, maybe they didn't kill both of us. Maybe it was also from the positive people allowed, maybe that this happened. And therefore, I had time to learn more and more on deeper things, what was going on. Therefore, I studied the Katars, Levashov, Anatoly Fomenko, and all the things, and the German Wilhelm Kammeier, the fake of the whole history, then the books on the Bochegi Mountains from Radu Zinnerma. I read everything, and therefore I got more and more and more this whole picture. And this over many, many years. I started 20 years, 25 years ago, and in the end, I had a complete picture. Even my understanding of God was clear. I was really through. So, and then I detected 2 years ago your shows, Tommy, your THI shows. And I said, wow, all the things he's telling, I know already, and I can confirm, and I know 100% sure. It was for me a confirmation of my own findings, complete findings. And many things I didn't read from books or from whatever videos, just I went to many places in France, in Italy. I met a living Qatar. Nowadays they are still living. They don't have any hairs here on the arm like we. That comes from the spiders, this hairs. This guy didn't have any hairs on the arm, just on the head. So I went to the grave of Radomir in Constantinople. But they are selling him as Jesus Christ. It's stupid. I was always involved with my girlfriend, with my younger son. We did this energy work to many places. We found out that France is a seat of the dark people, of the dark. They regularly won the war in France. And therefore also the German Kaiserreich was founded in Versailles, because Germany defeated France, and therefore the legal rights on the German are on the German side. With Prussia. Prussia was one authority with legal rights, and therefore we have until nowadays this issue with the United Nations. It's just an organization of companies. All states are companies. However, they are all the enemies of the German Empire. You see? because we are the ones who defeated the Vatican, and therefore in the Constitution of Prussia we don't have this law with a bürgerlicher Tod. After 7 years, you are declared as dead, legally dead. This right, it's out of our constitution. And therefore, the dark side always try to push down Germany or Prussia. And that is a historic background we have to understand, the whole picture.
Harald,
When I understood the whole situation, I followed more and more your shows, Tommy, and in the end I was a fan, big fan, and I tried to promote it, but nobody tried to support. Everyone was just scratching on the surface. Not so many are going deep enough, so and therefore I started my own things. I made a lot of radio interviews, and then more and more people came, and then in the end I tried to build up the YouTube channel with my own name. And also I tried to found a group, THI group for Germany. However, everything went a little bit wrong because what always interfered by the Secret Service people and the trolls and all these negative people feeding only their own ego and whatever financial interests and so on. And therefore it was not successful. It was also disturbed by this guy in England who tried to build up the European groups. But in the end, I'm happy that we came together, and I'm glad to be here and to work with you together.
Harald, Thomas, that sounds like Harald is your German brother.
Yes, it is. It's
He's
good.
telling the same things in a different way, but basically, as he told us, he brought us to you. So what are you saying to his speech?
No, thank you, Harold. You know, this is a global issue, and the more it goes global, the better for everyone. Yes, there is a difficulty where people have a difficulty with my show because it goes perhaps too deep. But then everyone has to start somewhere. And I don't advertise my show because people have to find the frequency to match. You know, when they're ready, it's built, they will come. And so we're having a big effect, and particularly the From Russia with Love series, the resonance it's created in Poland, in Germany, and Russia, which are all the old Rus and the Aryan Slavonic people, is marked, and it pleases me a lot.
Yeah. I'm also thinking how we get all the people of the white collar together in Germany, in Russia, in Poland, in Hungary, and Czech Republic, and so on. They are all brothers and sisters.
Yes.
They are divided by language, and we have to overcome these difficulties or these hindrances, and we have to make clear the people we belong together. And when we are united, we have a united seat in the Cosmic Council, for instance, and then we. Because when there are 20 kindergarten groups in the Cosmic Council, what kind of impression would it make there when we are not united as a group as we are genetically?
Absolutely. You know, it's the
picture we have to see.
There's lots of people asking for the extraterrestrials to come down and meet us. But we can't even get along ourselves, whether it's white on white, black on black. And so we have to push forward, and that's what we're doing with the People's Club. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what color we are. No one was born with a religion. It was a crazy construct. And so we have to remember that we're people and just come together, and then build a brand for and by the people, which is what the People's Club's all about. And forget all the rubbish that we've been taught, that they don't like us and we don't like them and they're this and they're that, and just come together as people. And then the people will realize all along the people have the power, not them, the people.
And many people, as you said, are waiting for the extraterrestrials, but not a lot of people are realizing they are already here. And we are also maybe extraterrestrials. We are coming from the Pleiadians as a soul, or from the Arcturians, or whatever planetary systems. Therefore, we came maybe here to incarnate here for this specific time, to do here,
I think,
this time, our job.
Harald,
But,
you mixed something up. I'm from Bavaria, so I'm
Yeah.
not from extraterrestrial.
From what? From?
I'm from Bavaria, you know.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Well, you go back in time. The white race was here 460,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, the other colours were introduced mainly 40,000 years ago after a couple of deliberate cataclysms, and some of them were seeded with dark. It's not their fault, but that was designed to corrupt not only what was known as the Great White Race, even though not everyone was white. You know, that's where they always turn it with the reverse psychology program, is that Aryan is mixed with white supremacy. No, it's not. It never was. And that whole race was about teaching everyone. There was no conquests. You know, they went into the Garden of Eden to teach the people of colour not to sacrifice and worship to the Kalimar and the Dark Brotherhood of the Snake. And it was successful for a while, but it went back again and it fell again. And this time is going to be different. This time it will be different.
Yeah.
What impressed me really much is how Harald told his story, his path, digging, and finally it's matching to your sentence. You are not promoting your shows because the frequency, if it's time for the frequency, everybody's coming to you. So he dug so long until he arrived you, and that's a feeling many of us have, hearing your shows after the third or fourth, when we are starting to understand it. Yeah, we are feeling. Finally, we found someone who is telling the things we already had a clue of it, a glimpse of idea, and so that's this uniting moment. You know, when you see, as a human, you meet another human who is telling the things I was asking about and wondering about what's happening. So now we are three examples of this digging people, you know, and we should take the chance to say, as you just mentioned before, when we waited for Harald, doing this shadow work, and that's relating to your electrical body too, because these triggers you mentioned when you have a comment on Facebook, that's an electrical impulse to react on this. So we are programmed like a magnetic band, like a computer, with a electrically. So, and that's on the other side. It's an easy way to change it, because it's not really set in stone.
Yes. Yeah, we focused heavily on the shadow side and the inner work and the psychology, because none of it costs anything. It just takes you a little bit of effort and a little bit of time, and just by clearing, doing your shadow and your inner work, you're clearing out your own dark energy. You know, it's like a cup. If your cup is full of dark energy, of trauma and guilt and shame, and everything feels heavy. But if you start releasing those traumas, the guilt and the shame, and you forgive yourself for what you've done and forgive them who may have done wrong to you, heal it and release it. So someone may say something on the Facebook page that triggers you, but that trigger is not the person who made the comment. That trigger is inside of you. Why has that comment upset you? You know, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's a personal comment or it's a general comment, there is something inside of you that's not resonating, and that's your signal to then go into the self and look at where the trauma or the guilt or the shame is residing and let it go.
Is is a part of this program that they invented this idea of saints, of angels, because we always think, okay, I have to be a saint or an angel or a superhero to change the world or to feel better or to come over my shadow sides.
Yeah. No, you just have to be you, because you is enough. You are the creator. You are the spark of source. You know, you is enough. You know, we're always elevating people and idols, which means image, which means mirror, which means copy, which means imitation. You see, that's what all these hierarchy. Well, the hierarchy didn't come from here,
Yeah.
because going back in time, there was no leaders. The leaders were like more like the Native American chiefs, where they were teachers. They weren't there to boss people, which is the way leaders operate now. They were there to teach, and the object was to get the students above the teacher, because that way the species and the tribe progresses. You don't teach lower, you teach higher, and then everyone develops, and that's what the ancient Rus were doing, and the Urs were doing, and all the technology we had is contained within. You don't need calculators.
Harald,
Put one here.
yeah, Harald, when did you realize that you have to dig?
Um, um, in the beginning, or when I was very young, when I was maybe 14 or 15, I was thinking, many people go to church. I was never in church, never ever. Also I never, yeah, my sister, when she became 18, she went there for this one, to close the third eye and all the things. And yeah, they asked me to come there in front there. I said, no, 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 no. Yeah, I felt always this a certain energy. Yeah, I felt it's not okay, something is strange or something is not good. Why did they burn people on the stake in the past? I was looking for the reasons, what's going on. Yeah, and I realized more and more that things are not okay. When I studied at the university, you never hear the word levitation or toroidal fields or scalar waves. It's all excluded. Free energy, we know it's 100 years old. Yeah, why don't we get it? Yeah, because there's something behind it. So, and I was digging when I thought this um, that this was not okay. I saw it, yeah, and therefore I was digging deeper and deeper. There is a nice quotation of Winston Churchill. He said, most people stumble in their life, during their life, about the truth. They stumble, they fell down, then they just clean their clothes and go ahead like nothing happened at all. They forget everything. Yeah, but when I stumble on something, now I'm looking at it. What's going on? What is the reason? And then I'm investigating deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah, I'm curious. I like to understand why we are here, why we are living here. Why did the church delete reincarnation when everyone knows it's true? I met people who could tell in the with Rückführung of German, yeah, Rückführung, going back to former life, and you could experience people. Or there was a guy in Wittenberg, Lutherstadt Wittenberg, he could get a different soul into his body. That soul, and then the soul could speak. Who killed this man with the soul? And he knew everything. Yeah, where he was living, all the details. And you realize there is a different truth than the public truth they are telling us. Yeah, and I had a nice interview, or I had a nice discussion with Joe Conrad. Yeah, Joe told me the next interview with me he would only do when I give more, tell more about my own sources and my secrets and where do I get the information from. And I told, yeah, and I said to him, yeah, but Joe, it's crazy. You see, everybody assumes the information they are getting from television, from newspaper, from university, from all this public media. This is true. And when I have a different opinion, I have to defend myself why my opinion is right. Yeah? I see all these channels they are getting their information are fake, complete fake. And in each of this area, with health, with history, with whatever, church, or all the things, I found everywhere this points that didn't fit to the official information. And I was digging, and I found 10,000 of those points, digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And therefore, I got a complete picture, different picture of the world than any people who just listens and looks to the normal channels. And that is the difference. And therefore, I don't have to defend my own positions. They have to defend, why do you believe they landed on the moon in 1968 or so? Why do you believe it? Because you have seen it in television? I don't believe it. I challenge it, and I need the proof and on logical thinking. Yeah, and also I have the inner feeling when you have 1,000 puzzle together, and you have a inner feeling, and you get a new puzzle, and you have just a hole in the big puzzle piece. You know, oh, this new puzzle you're getting from outside would fit 100% into this hole there. Yeah, this puzzle. Of course, and when you have checked all the other 2,000 puzzles already there, and this last one fits into there, no, you know already it's true. You don't need expertise or whatever that someone, other people confirm it to you. You have just the understanding you are on the right track. Yeah, and this one I was doing for many, many years, and therefore I got this complete picture. And just using my normal brain, and when you're an engineer, you have a logical thinking. Yeah, but due to the access of my son to the higher dimension, and also with my girlfriend and with other people, friends of mine, yeah, the picture got complete also from the subtle energies, from the higher dimensions, from the level of God. And therefore, I got more and more a complete picture of what's going on. And that was fine to me. And therefore, I got all the answers on health, all the answers on history, or the answer on God, on religion, whatever. Yeah, I understand what's going on, and I learn more and more. Tommy goes deeper in certain areas. Therefore, when I followed this way, I met people going the same way, but even beyond the things Tommy is telling. Yeah, I got all the details on the cosmic war. Yeah, when was it over? What was over? What was the following? Why was the war continued? Because they got forces from out of our galaxy. In our galaxy, actually, the thing was done in March. Therefore, I made the video. But later on, they got new forces from out of this galaxy. And they came here with over light, over speed of, over higher than the speed of light, 1,000 times higher. And this kind of information I got. And I think we are very, very good guided. You see, when I disappeared with my son 5 years from Germany, we were invisible. Yeah, and everyone was looking for us, European-wide. So how could you survive 5 years with a young son and nobody finds you? No police, no whatever. We had never any problem. Yeah, we built 5 houses. However, we never had a problem.
But
Why? Because there was guidance, there was protection. We were following our path. Yeah, we got all the support. We met the right people, people who could support us. All the hindrances were removed. And when we made a step in the wrong direction, we get a small hit or whatever, small thing. Oh, we understood. Okay, no, we should come back on the right path. And then you get all the wind from the back to move forward. And this way we have done it 5 years. We built up a tremendous network. I met so many nice people, lovely people, yeah, totally different than my former business life, where you have straight people looking television and football, or this was the topics. Yeah, but my topics were totally different. Yeah, and nowadays I have so many wonderful people who don't care on money or all the shit. They just care about human beings, on their neighbors, or spend money or donate money for this project we are doing together. And this way is so, for me, gives me so much love, so much energy, so much positive feedback. It's wonderful. Yeah, you can't pay this with money. It's
Harald,
impossible.
you
Yeah.
you asked me to watch the time because you have an appointment. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why I'm asking Thomas about you. How do you feel? Meet someone like Thomas, who is at least talking as much as you are. So how are you feeling now?
Yeah, Thomas is for me like a brother, really. I feel everything, and I know it's true, and he goes in certain areas much deeper. Yeah, but everyone has to a limited capacity to whatever. At the moment, I'm so busy to overcome all hindrances with the devices we are building now, because in Corona times you go and get crystals from Brazil, you don't get the wood in time, you don't get this glass balls we are needing, and whatever. So many hindrances. They are trying to stop us. But until now, we overcame all hindrances. But you have to do something. Most people give up. Yeah, for me, it doesn't exist giving up. I'm just going ahead.
Keep going.
When my people are saying, "Oh, we can't do it in time," I say, "No, we should not discuss what's not possible. We have to discuss what is the way how to make it possible." A different approach. So in this way, we made everything. I made it with my son. Of course, we had this trouble also that our network was damaged from the dark side and so on. But in the end, I got the right people, the right support, the right solution. We could fix everything. Yeah, and now we even do the final nail for the coffin, yeah, for the dark side, with energy, with exactly the same network, but now professional, 100 times more professional than I ever did with my son. Yeah, and this one I'm trying to do, and therefore I put all my energy, and we can help people with protection, with energy. Also, some people, they didn't have any money, whatever, in Corona time. Many people, they make very poor, they get a present from me, I make a present, such a device for them, that they are protected and not under permanent attack from the dark side and so on. So I'm very grateful, and very amazing friendships are being developing in this way and so on. And we can really do a lot to change the world with so many things that's possible now, with the background and with the support I'm getting now. Not due to coincidences I meet people, it is organized, and I meet
Yes.
the right people. Even I think this meeting here is orchestrated, Tommy. Yeah, you see the trouble
Yes,
with
it is.
Kim and so on. I got the feedback already. Why did it happen? She made a mistake, and this happens, and we have a solution even, and so on.
Yes.
It's just in time. Yeah, it's perfectly. Yeah, and we
Yes.
need also support for two persons we like to get in contact with, for the bigger task we have to do together, and then we
Yes.
can really reach a lot. I think it's very important that the people who have the far-sighted view deep enough that
Yes.
they come together, work together, and then amazing things can really develop and break through, and we can reach a lot. Yeah.
Harald,
Absolutely.
Thomas, now it's your turn for a final comment or message for Harald, who is so engaged for the good side. So
Yes, I've heard some of Harold's interviews. I don't get as much time to listen to everything, but I've heard some of Harold's interviews, and it's really interesting. The electrical and the toroidal field interests me, so I'm looking forward to engaging him more.
It's the
Um,
basic, it's the basic of nature. Yeah.
yes, I've put a couple of things out about the toroidal field and the spin, because
Yeah.
on a higher level, that's the key when you're working with energy,
Yeah.
because everything has been going counterclockwise, which is harvesting, and we need it to go clockwise, which is then encircling everything and everyone and affecting everyone at the same time. And so I'm looking forward to engaging Harold more, and we can push this thing along. But overall, I'm pleased with how things are going. I know the world's in a bit of turmoil, but then not enough people have done enough. That's the problem. The world's in a turmoil because not enough people have paid attention. There is no conspiracies anymore. Conspiracies went 10 years ago because everything's been out in the media. The church corruption, the pedophilia, etc. Politicians being this, that, and the other. It's all out now. But what are we going to do about it? That's what I like about Harold. He's a doer. We can all pontificate on different things, but as the old system crashes, which it is, we have to replace it with something better. Well, we're not going to wait for dark forces and people with no skill sets to create a new world for us. It's up to us. And that's the important thing.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Harald. I think that was a great pleasure and
thanks, Harold.
Outstanding messages you gave us together with Thomas. So all the best. See you later, alligator.
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Harold.
I have to go.
Bye
Thank
now.
You. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We did something. We collected questions by the THI members, and I'm glad to have some questions here for you. Reichmut asks, who or what is your source of knowledge about history of mankind, of aliens, and of the current events on our planet?
It's a vast mixture. You know, I've researched the alt media since the internet came out. I don't read books, never have. There's something about books, and you know, if it's online, I'll read it. But books, I've never read. Not like Harold, but I had an extra awakening back in 2013, where information came to me rather than me going to it. So that's why I'm not aware as much now as maybe some of our listeners of this person or that person on the alt media, because I'm not listening, because it's going to corrupt what I know. And again, this is technology that is contained within us all. The higher you go in your frequency range, you're going to access the field of information for that level. So if you keep going up, it's like a giant library. You know, the information is in the frequencies all around it, but can you access it? Well, if you got the right frequency, if you ask the question, the answer comes to you, rather than you researching. You already have the answer. That's why they call it research.
Yeah.
And you have to research to find the answer back. But the information field is all around. But I have many different sources. Most I can't name. But I think who the sources are really doesn't matter. Does the information that I put out resonate for you? And if it doesn't, fine. You know, but over time, don't cast it away. Over time, as you develop on the self and you hit the right frequency, THI and the likes of Harold will come to you. It'll connect. That's how it works.
Reichmut is asking about the council. Is there a language which is intergalactically used by beings rationally gifted? If so, which one can you name?
Well, there is a specific light language which some humans can do. I can't do it personally, so I talk normally, and that gets translated by AI, you know, mainly.
On one of your shows, you had an interview with one of these members of the council, an extraterrestrial being, and that sounded very interesting, very, very different. So, so this show was meant to help people to realize that there are other species on the planet.
Yes. Yeah. We had 3 representatives. It was Kim and I, and then 2 other people. One who could translate the light language, and then a translator of the light language then into what we would understand as, you know, English and our own native language. And that was quite an experience. You know, I would like to learn light language myself, but I have far too many other things to do. But that is the common language that is often used. But they do also understand if you can talk in English, just like the majestic document that I released on the Roswell and Aztec. You know, the guy spoke English, but was not from here, and so it's able to translate.
That brought me to the question, which language Marduk spoke, and tell us who Marduk was.
Marduk is Draconian, Alpha Draconian. but there's a difference between the Alpha and the Hydra. The Hydra are, in some aspects, worse than the Alpha. But that's part of the old Egyptian, quote unquote, of Marduk, Enki, Enlil, Anu, Alulu, Inanna, etc. It's that whole bloodline family.
Marduk, I would put it this way, was the highest tyrant.
Well, Marduk was left here because he didn't fit into his own family too well. And then he was exiled here. He was also exiled on here because when they were splitting Earth up into 5 regions, he thought he was going to get the main region, which is around Egypt and Mesopotamia, which is why there's always fighting there. You know, it's not really humans fighting, it's you're fighting their war, proxy war. It's the same, fighting over regions. So he was exiled from his own planet. He came here, he found there was gold that would help their planet back home, and then brought more here, and then eventually took over here. And he was the main controller here over the last 16,500 years. It was him that built the control system.
So back to the questions of the THI members, Carsten asked, with all the evils which are planned for us humans in the future, vaccination, microchips, Bitcoin, 5G, and so on, are we still getting help from outside, or are we run like the sheep to the slaughterhouse? It seems that free will no longer exists, or is it just sleeping?
We're still getting help, but we also have to learn to help ourselves more. That is humanity's biggest problem. It's lazy-minded, not necessarily lazy per se, but more lazy-minded. And people ask, what can I do? Well, that's not really asking what you can do. That's providing an excuse of, I'm too lazy to think of where I can fit in. You see, it's always being pushed over to somebody else. But if you keep waiting for somebody else, nothing arrives. You know, the longest weight club in history is waiting for Jesus to return. You would think after over 2,000 years, you would say it's not happening. And so if the Jesus not returning or the Pleiadians are not returning, you know, where are they? And it comes back to what can you do and where can you fit in? So if you're asking, coming to me and asking, what can I do? Why are you asking me? You've got your own brain, you've got your own soul. Connect to yourself. You already have the answers. You know, there's many things that ideas we put out, but everyone's at a different frequency. Everyone's at a different learning curve. But just because you think that you're Mr. or Mrs. Nobody, which is the worst thing anyone can ever say, because everyone is important, does not mean that you are dissolved, that you have the right to dissolve your own responsibility in this. You know, just because Kim's perceived as important, in fact, Kim's not important. Kim is doing important work. That's the difference. I'm not important. I'm doing important work. But I can't do 2 things on my own, no more than Kim can, no more than Harold can. And it's about us all combining our skill set. So how can you support people along the way? Well, the first thing you do is you fix yourself. How can you fix others if you don't fix yourself? How can you believe others if you don't believe in yourself? How can you love others if you don't love yourself? Well, you can't. So everything starts with you. You are the savior. You're not the savior. You're part of saving.
So it's so easy to say, we need superheroes, and Hollywood is enhancing this idea, and the religions are made for this, to say you are very small, you are not important, you never can save yourself, you have to pray until your knees are wounded. So very concrete. You can do everything yourself because we are sparkle of the source, aren't we?
Absolutely. They call the source prime creator. Well, that means it's the main creator. Well, if we're the spark, that makes us creator beings, which means we have to be creative. All of us. Asking somebody else, how can, where do I fit in? Is not being creative. That's that's passing the responsibility then on. If they're asking me, it's passing the responsibility for me to tell them what to do. No, that's a parent and a child relationship. It's the same thing, and we've got most adults around the world who are acting and thinking like children. It's childlike. Well, what can I do? I'm just one person. The government has to fix it, which is the same as a child asking the parent to fix it. It's no different. It's always somebody else's problem. Well, actually, no, it's everyone's problem.
Thank you very much for that comparison, because that's my impression very often about myself. Even, of course, it's much more easier to wait until Mama come and bring me some nice food.
Yeah.
So, of course, that enhanced by the dark side,
Yeah.
but we can come over it. So, Carsten asked another question, which is very earthly. The conflict between China and the US could be described as sharpening. Other countries are preparing for an invasion by the Chinese. He means Australia, India, and South America are talking about the Third World War. Rothschilds and Black Sun are still fighting each other. Killing as many people as possible is their goal anyway, and fits for the scheme. What do you say about this?
Forget China, forget America. It's got nothing to do with China. It's got nothing to do with America. It's all a hidden war game still playing out. China has the same deep state problems as we have in America and other countries, and the deep state are harvesting the country because the dark forces and their minions are not interested in countries. Countries are just pawns on the chessboard that they can move about and sacrifice. So it's not that Chinese people or the Chinese government hates the American people and the American government. This is to do with Rothschilds and the Black Sun again, and it's to do with the Black Dragon groups that operate out of China. Of course, Black Dragon is also represented in America, and it's a power play. That's all it is.
Yeah. For those who are new to these topics, you're talking about Rothschilds and Black Sun. So that's the main players in this evil game. So for centuries,
we're down to two. There was a lot of others. There used to be 5 factions. It's now down to 2.
Illuminati and so on.
Yeah. The Illuminati ended 20 years ago, ballpark, and then they divided into factions, which was the Jesuits, the Asian faction, the Nazi faction, the Jewish faction, and the secret societies.
We will talk about the Nazi faction later.
Yeah.
Because that sounds German, but as you always stress, it's not German.
No, never was.
To the next questions, Olaf is asking, Thomas, you're righteous, honest, and truthful. Your statements and attitude appear simple and thus authentic. As a person with down-to-earth vocational training, you are a representative of many people, and therefore you bear high responsibility not only for you alone. Do you obtain your energy solely by your connection to the source?
Yes. I tap into the higher frequencies. Sometimes you forget, and then there's I have certain ways where places I can go to that can re-energize and reset everything. Sometimes I don't always get enough time for the self, which can become problematic, because I'm like the Duracell bunny. It just keeps going and going and going. Well, sometimes you have to go, no, let's slow down, and let's, how can I help others if I'm not looking after myself? Because when you're involved at this level, it requires an 80% or more to be service to others. You cannot do it with a low figure because it's too easy to walk away when you're getting shot at, or some people, you um, going to shopping and someone spraying poison in your face, which is what happened to me last year. Or there was an attempted abduction of me sometime last year also. It's easy to go, well, I'm walking away. So you've got to have at least 80% service to others, because if you're anywhere close to service to self, you're going to go into self-protection mode and go, I'm not doing that. And so it does require a lot of responsibility, and I'm prepared to take that on. Other people, too many people are dissolving their responsibility, and that's what we have to change, and that's what we're doing with the shows with THI and also the People's Club as well. It's about us becoming responsible for us, not saviors, us.
Olaf wants to know, where does the courage come from? The courage to spread all this sensitive informations.
Um, I was described when I was younger as belligerent, and I think that served me well. From age 7, I knew something was not right here. And I went very insular because my opinions, like Harold mentioned earlier, were so far different to everybody else, including my own family. So I just went quiet, because I was frightened to speak, because I knew stuff at age 7, 8, 9, and 10 that nobody else appeared to know. I thought everyone knew it. But then when you start talking about it, you realize there's something not right here, and something's very different. Why am I different? And that sort of led me into research when I was younger, and a number of different, shall we say, not normal experiences. And then obviously once the internet came out, then I find out there's people all over the world who are the same as me. We have similar beliefs. And that's where the internet has actually been beneficial. It was actually designed to corrupt us, but it's also been beneficial. And this is the thing with technology. Are you going to make it beneficial for you, or are they going to weaponize it against us? Well, you can always reverse it, transmute it. You don't always have to delete. It's actually better to transmute, because the matter and energy is there, and it's about you then interacting with it. And so, once I got to 2011, I went to my first and only conference. I've never been a great speaker. I've always been too quiet. But for the first time, I thought, I can go on that stage and talk for at least 2 hours with the knowledge I have. I learned all the big names at the time, Wilcock and Kerry Cassidy and Jordan Maxwell and Bob Dean and all those people, Richard Dolan, Hoagland, etc. I knew all their material because I used to spend 5 to 7 hours per day researching all their material. But I had all their material in one package, and a whole heap of my own knowledge that had never come out. And so I thought, I have to do something. And then in 2013, my bigger awakening, which is what I'm teaching in the THI shows, in amongst all the intel and the different pieces, there's teachings in there that's going to develop you on a higher level when you reach that frequency. It's all there. And so when I got to 2013, I had some extraordinary experiences that most people will not believe. and a lot of them I've never revealed because I'm not here to prove me to anyone. I'm glad Harold said that earlier. It's, does it resonate with you? That's all that matters. If it resonates, fine. If it doesn't, you're not ready, because people will find that a lot of our show is correct. And over time, the long-standing members have all found out when I've said things ahead of time, and it's all playing out. It's like the Clowns in Panic show last year. It's all there. It's all there, and it's now playing out. But we can prevent what's going on.
Another word we should explain is clowns and who's the clowns and who are trolls?
Well, clowns has become a meme that came out of THI. There is a higher meaning to clowns because the spiritual realms was corrupted by the circus, and that's why a lot of the children who can see more than us when they're first born are frightened of clowns. Mm. But the clowns, we call it CIA, clowns in America.
Okay.
They don't they don't particularly like, but I don't particularly like how they have damaged humanity on a massive scale. And so the trolls, there's some people who they're just that way. They're never going to get it. Then they're never going to reach a frequency anywhere close to getting it. And then, of course, you've got the paid trolls, of which there are many in the alt media. It's corrupted by the agencies.
So Waltraud is asking about something you started, the THI and the People's Club. What goals do you see for the People's Club and the THI Germany?
Well, the THI, once the trust funds comes out, will transfer from the THI, which is learning about, unlearning and then relearning. But the TPC is how we develop as a species together, all working together. Forget countries, forget colours, forget religion. It's all divide and conquer programs. And so once the funds come out, we're going to transfer them to TPC Germany, not THI. And then we're going to use the teachings that the members of THI have had, because they understand the old system and how we have to not copy the old system, but go a new way. And then it morphs into the TPC of how we need to look at the old system, like, so for argument's sake, school. When we have to stop educating children, because education means training of animals. And that's deliberate. They see us as animals. Well, no. And so we have to teach what is best for the development of the child, because that's the ultimate goal with any species, is your future is dependent on the child, not the adults, the child, of getting them to be better and more highly evolved than we were. And so then there's always a progression. And there's a number of things that incorporates the People's Club. We talked about the cooperative as a business where there's no ownership. This ownership nonsense has to end, because the people own all the land and all the resources, not Rothschilds and Rockefellers, or even Native Americans. They don't own the land of America. All the people around the world own the land of America or Germany or anywhere else. And so we have to stop this ownership. And so if we're investing in projects, we don't need leaders, bosses. We give ownership to all the workers equally. Why does someone have to earn $10 an hour or €10 an hour? And why is someone walking home with €500,000 a year? It makes no sense. It's that, a 1 hour of my time is the same as 1 hour of your time. you know,
So,
and so, you know, there's the ownership, but cooperative, it means sharing. And that's the gist of the TPC, caring and sharing, need, not greed. But cooperative is also a psychological program because we've all been MK Ultras. I don't care who you are, you've been MK Ultra to a point. And it's a social program that we learn to cooperate and work together, which can then become a government program where the government is a cooperative. Because currently it's not working for them by the people. It's not necessarily the government's fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's not Boris Johnson. It's the system, because they're just the puppets that play the game at the front. But, you know, and the TPC is designed to be a power for and by the people. Well, eventually, once we build up our brand, so to speak, we become the power. Because if we've got a load of TPC, for argument's sake, if you've got 100,000 TPC in Germany and they're all on the same page, when elections comes round, that 100,000 or that 50,000 or 30,000 is the swing vote. So then you have the power. So if these politicians are writing stupid bills, you must wear the mask. Bye-bye. We didn't vote for that. So it's about giving the people the power back, but the people have got to accept the power back and their own responsibility and role in it.
so for that, I recommend the restoration plan. We have translated into German, by the way, and we want to translate your shows about the cooperative system too. So there's a lot of information.
Yes.
Soon, even in German. So how can people's plight be elevated so that, for example, everyone has to eat? Walfred is asking.
Repeat that again. How can
People's plight be elevated so that, for example, everyone has to eat? How we can enable people to feed the world?
Well, that's part of the restoration plan. You know, when I was interviewed by Kim for my role in the trust, one of the questions she asked me, if you were the trustee, what would you do? And I said, the first thing is to make sure everyone around the world has the 5 basics in life. You know, most of us in the Western world, well, yes, we may be struggling financially, but we're living like kings in comparison to large parts of the world. And so that would be my primary concern is, you know, there's a lot of people, you know, there's 2 billion people, even this day and age, who don't have access to a toilet. 2 billion. We've got 1.3 who don't have access to electricity. We've got near 2 billion who don't have access to a basic home. And 3 billion or more who are on starving or poverty levels when we're producing enough food to feed 4 planets per year. So where's it all going? It's being wasted, it's not being managed properly. But not only is it not being managed properly, it's also being deliberately stopped. And so what they do is becomes irrelevant if we care enough. And that's the problem. People do not care enough. It's all about the self. Well, you know, so if there's a starving child in Iraq, no one's paying enough attention in any other country. In fact, they're not even paying enough attention in their own country, in some parts of it.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to change the mindset, that we shouldn't ignore the plight of other people, because eventually that plight will come to you. And that's what's happening in America now. You know, America's been one of the richest countries, but now it's with their plans, and this was a deliberate plan, they're going to turn or try and turn America into a third world country. You're seeing all the manufacturing going, you're seeing all the businesses going, you're seeing all the finance go out and being transferred to the East, which was a plan that goes back to 1912 with the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve will be run from the West for 100 years and then from the East for 100 years. But certain other people came in and decided, no, you're not. And so finally now we've got a third powerhouse, not just the Rothschilds and the Black Sun. We have the Trust and myself and the team who are only operating for and by the people, which again is an event in and of itself. The fact that we've got someone at that level, the real top level, because it's not the government, they're the lowest level possible, at that level operating and fighting for and by the people.
Most appreciated. So Miriam is asking about THI and People's Club. I think we covered it quite well, but she's asking another very interesting question. What do you think about gurus?
The problem, let's take it, gurus and leaders and all the other stuff. The problem with them is they've only been taught a narrow band of information. And yet there's information on the outside that they don't have access. So gurus think that they are all knowing and they're experts in whatever field that they're covering. But every single profession on this planet has been undertaught. There's whole gaps of knowledge missing. And to use an example, yoga expert. I upset a yoga expert that was on Alan's show because I asked them, did they shield before doing that exercise? And she said, no, I've been doing this for 26 years and I've never had a problem. I said, yeah, but you don't understand the information. You've been denied. It's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault that we've been undertaught apart from the dark forces. And so these gurus have been corrupted by the agency, the Five Eyes, the Tibet people who were descendants from Lemuria over time has been corrupted. The Buddha has been corrupted, you name it. And spirituality has been corrupted, and to a level whereby if you ask people what is spirituality, you're going to get 1,000 different answers. And spirituality is about you, only you. You going inside of yourself and recognizing your God, or source as I like to call it, is inside you. You don't need mass conferences and meditations, mandalas, all of which is corrupted anyway, to go into you. Only you know you. It's kind of sad. There's a lot of gurus and chiefs of tribes who are trying to do their best. Not all of them are corrupt, but the chronic lack of knowledge we have on this planet of all the different planes of information and fields is something as why I said that the People's Club is a teaching course. It's not about business and trust funds and all that. It's a teaching course where we're going to teach the higher level of the so-called hidden knowledge that used to be in the mystery schools.
That's another service we want to provide, that your programs for centering, shielding and grounding, we will translate that and make that available for everybody. And that's another thing we want to do, that everybody can send us messages for questions for you or questions about them, and we want to help everybody as far as we can, because it's about what we can do. Before we come to this, I have some question left. Why do you think so many people find it hard to take responsibility for their lives?
Because they're children. That's the top and bottom line. Doesn't matter what age you are thinking in a childlike manner. Is it somebody else has to fix it? Well, that's just like the child with the parent. And the same thing is the new parent is the government must fix it. But you're voting the government in. So if the government is a mess, that's your responsibility. A government is reflective of society, and society is a mess. Why? Because the society has not taken their own responsibility. You know, if people don't like Trump, or they don't like Pelosi, or they don't like Merkel, why is she still there? Because the people haven't come together and gone, you're not operating for and by the German people, and so we're going to vote you out as a collective. And then you come up with the candidates between you and say, this is person, say it's Harold, this person's going to operate for and by the people, so we're going to vote for Harold. But then in comes the competitive and comparative mindset. Well, why is Harold better than me? Well, because he's actually done something.
Mhm.
You know, but we're not asking you to worship Harold. We're asking you to match his efforts in whatever way you can do.
So we are very keen in matching, because wearing a mask is to match in the scheme of somebody else. And it's amazing how, if someone is refusing to wear a mask, how they treat him, because he is basically telling people, you are a child, you are not able to take care of yourself. Why are you? That's why they are bothering me. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I went into the major supermarket recently, and they refused entry because it didn't have a mask. And so I made my point, you know. So I asked the guy, do masks work? And he says, yes, of course they do. So I said, so you're telling me your mask works? Yes. So why are you concerned that I haven't got one?
That's a good.
And suddenly his whole facial expression changed. You know, I could have gone out and got a mask. I wanted to make a point. I waited till there was a collection by the door and made the point. I said, so I'm going to ask you very loudly, are you banning me from getting groceries because I'm not wearing a mask? And he went, yes. I said, but you just said masks work. Well, clearly they don't if you think it's a problem that I haven't got one.
Yeah.
So I made the point.
No, very good.
You know, it's the same with vaccines. If vaccines work, why are you bothered if someone hasn't been vaccinated? Why all of a sudden are you caring about somebody else? Because it's not replicating society. Well, I care that you haven't got the vaccine. Well, why are you not caring about people who haven't got enough food? Or why are you not caring about homeless people? You know, it's wrong. Suddenly they care about you that you haven't had a vaccine or not wearing a mask. Why? Because they've been told.
Yeah.
It's childlike.
So talking about child, there's a nice other question of Miriam from another perspective. She asks, if you could meet yourself as a child with the knowledge of today, what would you tell him, the little Thomas?
Be brave. Never let anyone put you in fear. And keep pushing forward. Don't look back.
So 2 more short questions, and then we have a piece of music, and then at the end we talk about Nazis. So
Right, okay.
okay. Aristides wrote, Dear Thomas, thank you for all the work you have done over many years. Personally, the From Russia with Love series brought together so many loose ends for me, like nothing else I've ever heard before. My question is in regards to From Russia with Love, Part 8b. So for our audience, there are not only 1 or 2 parts, there are many parts.
No,
So
there's 10 currently, you know, with
10 now, yeah.
another one in the works.
He asks, is it known if the Millerians period of Swarog is rooted in planetary, solar, galactic, or universal circumstances? And in regards to the perceived rapid spike of chaos since March, can one describe this night-to-day transition more like switching the light on, or better as a sunrise?
It's we go in and out of periods of space, which is more conducive to the dark than the light, and then it switches over to the day, which is the light. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the dark ceases to exist, but their ability to work becomes a lot more hindered because they then have to come into the light, you see. And this is why I said, I warned in December, the public, get ready, because the public war is about to play out, and it has. This is what we're seeing now. So the dark can do whatever they like in that 1008 years, and the light struggles to stop it. But then the 1008 years of light, the dark can still carry on because they don't operate by rules we do. We have to have the maximum responsibility because it's all about light soul growth. You can't do that by operating in dark ways. And so now it's the time of the light, the day, to thrive in the next 1008 years. So when the next 1008 years ends and we go into a dark space, the light is that strong that it will diffuse the dark, reduce it drastically. So we have 1008 years to build up the light so that the dark can't be as prevalent as it was in the last phase.
So the last question of Paul, and later on we will hear a piece of music he made and you already played in one of your shows.
Yep.
And he was very proud of this, and we too. So the newly installed Saturn Moon Matrix, is that completely removed? I have felt very negative vibes and think it's still active.
All reports are, it wasn't necessarily, it was, they can't replicate it fully, that's a very old system, but there was certain interference frequency wise. Keep saying about the frequency, because it is all about the frequencies that had to be addressed, and that problem was fixed. That doesn't mean to say we have to sit back and go, well, it's all done now, because they keep going. And that's the way they operate. They just keep trying and trying and trying, but their ability to infect, affect, and effect is drastically reduced now. And people are starting to notice the patterns because they always repeat. So here we go again. Here's another false flag. Well, we need a change of scenery. Here's another false flag, and everyone's going, but that's the same as the last one. They're not very, bright when it comes to changing the thing up. Is that it's a program, so the program is encoded to repeat, repeat, repeat. Well, if you notice the patterns, you know when it's coming up. You can predict the future. And so this is why on the 21st of March, which is why Harold said he noticed on the 22nd of March, when they instigated private martial law, and then they got the people to enforce it. They can't initiate full global martial law where they control it, because Kim would be the lead person in control of martial law as the highest security clearance. So they had to do it privately and then get the people to enforce it on themselves, which is exactly what's happening with this mask nonsense. It's nothing to do with the virus at all.
I promised that we talk about this Nazi and Nazi thing, because we are Germans and we are grown up with every day we hear this shit and traveling. So, yeah. What's the difference between Nazi and Nazi?
It's a play on words. It's national, which means nationalism is the same as fascism, is the same as patriotism in America. It's the same thing. It's love of your country over the love of the people. But nationalism, like communism, like fascism, and all the other isms, all came out of Zionism. It's the Hebrew Anunnaki program. The same as religion, all came from the Hebrew Anunnaki, which morphed into Jewish. But these, with my research, things didn't make sense. You know, I'd heard some of Hitler's youth, and he was abused, which is a common theme. But he also was an artist, and he was a keen archaeologist, which are two subjects that doesn't equate to megalomaniac. You know, how many artists are violent or, you know, destructive in that way? So things didn't make sense. And so things were coming to me from the field. And then at certain times, people turn up and they may show an article, and I'll look at it, but it's not that article. There's a link in that article, which then leads me down the rabbit hole. And that's how it works with me, how the information comes to me. It may be a song, it may be something someone's posted, something will trigger for me to look at. And, you know, I started getting into the research, and things really didn't make sense of what was going on in Germany. And then over time, various people have come to me with information, whether it be Russian, whether it be Kim, whether it be a whole heap of other things over the field. And then a picture started to emerge. There was this overriding, what we would say is Jewish, but it's not Jewish per se. It's these people stroke entities may operate under the banner of Jewish, but they're not. Far from it. Then it goes back into time with the Vedics and the Vedic texts, which are Rus and nothing to do with India. The only reason it was in India is because they were teaching. And I'm watching the story unfold, and then all these different names were coming in, and suddenly it's looking like a whole bigger picture. And I started off with just 2, and it ended up in 10, and there's other been satellite bits, you know, op-eds in the shows that have covered it. And I've got another potential from Russia with Love, but I may name it something different because it's important we end that series on 9. 9 is the number of completion. And so it's but then I started getting into the before World War II and what happened in World War One, which was all about stealing the Russian gold. And if you go and watch the series Babylon Berlin, it's all in there, including the German, quote unquote, which were not German and were all Jewish again. The same communists that destroyed Russia were now in Germany to destroy Germany. And that's where the term Nazi comes from. NA, the front 2 letters of national, and ZI. And they did it in Russia, they did it in all the houses in Europe, and they did it in the Middle East, with Egypt, etc., 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 and going all the way back to India. If you look at the wars now with Israel, which is the correct way to say it, and then you'll understand it, they're going all along the coast. Well, it's heading back to India again, where they were exiled from India to Egypt. And most of Israel's history is about Egyptians. Moses, Solomon, David, they're all Egyptians, as we would call them today, not Israel. There was no Israel. But you look at Lebanon, Syria, southern Turkey, Afghanistan, and then there's a big issue. There's like a big island in the middle. Iraq is already gone. That island in the middle is Iran, which means land of the Aryans. And that's why they want Iran, because they're charting the path of those who came out of the Garden of Eden, who were thrown out by the Rus, back to India. But it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Eventually it will collapse. But NAZI is not German. It is this Hebrew Anunnaki group operating under the banner of being Jewish when they're not. Like I said, no one was born Jewish. No one was born Christian either, which came out of the Jewish religion. And no one was born Muslim. You are a creator spark of the source, not Jewish, not Christian, not Protestant, because there is no Protestant religion either. A Protestant or Protestant was a Catholic who was protesting against the church, and they morphed it into a religion in the 1500s. So people say, I'm Church of England, I'm Protestant, which is what I am, or what I was given. I didn't ask for it. Nobody did. You know, it's the parents running the program that, you know, you must give the child a religion. No, we have to stop giving the child labels. The child is the source of creation, and you're putting labels on it. No. So that's where the Nazis, and it's had a big effect. The people who have understood From Russia with Love on Germany and also Poland, it's had a massive effect, because it's releasing the guilt and shame program that's been run on both people and the Russians of, you know, we must have guilt and shame, and we can't mention Holocaust, and you can't question anything Jewish, and you must give all your money to the Jewish cause. No, it was their own people, their own scientists. We went through a whole list of scientists that all of them were Jewish. The Goebbels and Hering, they all had Jewish parents. You know, so why were they killing their own people? Because they're not their own people, that's why. Because they're the same religion doesn't mean they're the same people. And that's where it all goes back to the Hebrew Anunnaki program.
So coming to an end, we come back to the main demand. What can I do? So I try to make your answers possible to be short, okay? So yeah. What can I do? Obey or speaking up?
Speaking up.
Protest or convince? Protest or convince?
Protest inwardly.
Meditate or concentrate? Mass meditation or single?
Single only. Because that spirituality is about the individual, it's not about the collective.
Praying or radiating the truth?
Always radiating the truth.
Waiting for a savior?
Never. Never.
Waiting for Trump, chef, military surrender of the evil?
Never. The one you wait for is you. And then it's up to you then to combine with other people who are like-minded, and then we all push forward. Waiting has never helped any of us.
So we are quite used to it. So anyway, we are keen. That's the main certificate we should have, the diploma in waiting. So basically, if we understand this very well, what you are teaching us and you are telling tonight, that's a great, great, great message to know. It's all about in us and about us. Yeah. We should not care about somebody telling us what to do or not to do. We are the creator. We can do that on ourselves.
Yes.
And that's the great achievement of you and of Kim and all the people and of Harald and others who are trying to inform us.
Yes.
Ich möchte die Menschen aufrufen, dass sie sich bei uns melden, dass sie, wenn sie wollen, auch mitmachen, dass sie uns Fragen schicken, dass sie uns Anregungen bringen und dass sie die Informationen, die wir ihnen anbieten, abrufen. I just told the people that they should take our services, send questions, and I hope we can continue this. I had much more questions, of course, it's endless. And so how many hours did you on your shows? I thought about 1,000 already.
I've
600
no
at least.
idea. No idea. You know, most shows are 3 hours, and I think I've done somewhere around 300 and something. So
At least.
there's a lot. Yeah.
Thomas, it was a pleasure having you. And as I expected, and as all of THI are expecting, that was very good information and very deep. But that's most important. Everybody can understand it.
Yes.
If they have need some additional information about the abbreviations and who is who, we do some inserts. We translate that and we make subtitles in German, so you can show this on your channels too if you want.
Yes.
And I'm really appreciate your help. See you soon, hopefully. All the best.
Thank you very much, and say hi to all the German people. And I'll come on again, and we'll have some more truth, and let's all go forward together.
Und auch Ihnen herzlichen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Wie gesagt, seien Sie auch kritisch mit uns. Wir kommen damit weiter, als wenn Sie uns lobhudeln. Ja?
3, 4. God knows what is hiding in that deep, drunken heart. I guess you kissed the girls and made them cry. Those hot-faced queens of misadventure. God knows what is hiding in that weak and sunken eyes. Fiery from the muted angels, giving love, getting nothing back. People help people, and if you're homesick, give me your hand, I'll hold it. People help people, and nothing will drag you down. Oh, and if I had a brain, oh, and if I had a brain, I'd be cold as a stone, rich as the fool that turned all those good hearts away. God knows what is hiding in that world, little consequence behind the tears, inside the lies, a thousand slowly dying sunsets. God knows what is hiding in those weak, drunken hearts. I guess the loneliness came knocking. No one needs to be alone. No, save me, people, help the people. And if you're homesick, give me your hand, I'll hold it. People, help the people, and nothing will drag you down. Oh, and if I had a brain, oh, and if I had a brain, I'd be cold as a stone, rich as the fool that turned all those good hearts away. your hearts away.